Type 3, the performer. I'm Leslie Hirschberger. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, just click subscribe below and you'll get Enneagram shorts as they show up. I went back and forth. Should I call this the performer or the achiever? And I almost feel like because my interest is more, and the way I work with people more is an inside-out Enneagram than the outside-in, is achiever is kind of what happens. That's what threes do. They get a lot of things done. They have lots of tasks and goals. But on the inside, there's a certain kind of performance going on, and they're performing for themselves too. Because the belief is that in order to be loved, in order to connect with people, I have to be a winner. Because doesn't everybody love a winner? So, because of that, attention goes to tasks, goals, the most efficient solutions. How can I get it done? One three told me the way it shows up for me is when I am going back and forth and bringing groceries in from the car, it's like, what's the most efficient way to get them in the car? Also, I have to adjust, myself in some way in order to feel successful, or what is required for success in this organization, in this project, in this family. What's required for success, and how do I adjust? How can I promote myself? How can I look good? Okay, and all of this external kind of positive, winning kind of promotion is done in service of connection. Because remember, the heart types are all about connection. And when threes start to slow down and start to actually feel feelings, there's not a lot of familiarity with that, because it's kind of like I am what I do. And I don't know who I am when I slow down. That is a huge leap when a three is able to admit that, because they get so much approval for what you do. I mean, they're the ones who get things done. And so I have to present this particular persona. It's what I've always done. I don't know anything different. So this confusion of selves shows up. So what happens though is, because we're all projecting our stuff onto other people, meaning we're ascribing something we can't see in ourselves onto you. And so for threes, feelings of inadequacy get projected onto others. They may find themselves kind of resistant to people who are going through something super tough, or who feel like kind of a failure, or who seem kind of inadequate, because those are the things threes push out of their way about themselves. And one three said to me, I do really, really well with my best friend from high school. She said she's a 9 on the Enneagram, and I don't have to feel like I'm being on. And that's when I noticed, like, me, who I am, can emerge. Because the challenge is that I get overly competitive. I mean, one three said to me, I noticed that when I mow my lawn, I'm racing my neighbor, and she doesn't know we're racing, right? Because I'm constantly competing. I'm overworked and impatient, because I wish everybody else would hop to it. Because again, if I slow down, I'll feel. So I want you to get moving too. And because then you'll be a winner, particularly if you're one of my kids. Okay, so what you ultimately discover is all of this doing actually ends up separating you from other people. Have you noticed that? That sometimes, like when you're all on top, when you're winning, if that is where all the attention is on that next win, sometimes you may not feel connected at all to other people because you're so fast in moving to the next thing. So the idealized self-image of this type is I'm a winner, I'm successful, and the avoidance is failure. So a lot of times threes will come to the Enneagram work when there is a failure in their lives, whether it's a failed relationship, something, at work has happened. I know three athletes. I remember when I was certifying us, a professional football player came. He blew out his knee, and he was a 3. And all I was, my whole life, was football. And so, when working with threes, it's a constant movement towards what are you feeling right now? What if it's not shiny? What if it's not upbeat? It's not saying that you're a failure if you're kind of having a crappy feeling right now, today. And when threes start to allow that and just kind of rest in that, they see, it passes. All right? So if you're in a relationship with a 3, they want recognition. They want appreciation for it's not like that 2 appreciation, like that I am, what I do for you. It's actually like, hey, we're doing all well as a family. We're doing all well as a team. Let's celebrate it. there's companies that are more three-oriented companies will have a lot of award ceremony, a lot of recognition ceremonies, because that's something that's important for threes. Meanwhile, the fives are like, oh, you don't have to give me an award in front of other people. All right. So what happens though on the inside is threes confuse ideas about emotion with the actual real emotion. Like they may understand, oh yeah, I know what sadness is, but do I know when I'm sad in this moment? All right, because that gets passed over. Or if I am sad, can I share it with you? Can I talk about it? Because it can feel like a loser feeling to feel sad. It can feel like a loser feeling to feel afraid. What if I could allow myself just like a teaspoon longer to feel some fear, to feel my disappointment, Because don't you know that when we start to do that, we start to connect. For the threes, it's like, okay, gotta go. I used to teach this workshop where we'd make collages, and every Enneagram style would make collage. I don't think there was one 3 collage without a clock on it or some sort of watch, because it's all about time. It's all about efficiency. So if you're with a 3, can you stay there when their real feelings and genuine feelings emerge? Not with a lot of, because they don't want to feel tragic, right? But just be present. Just listen, because they're getting confused when they're actually having these real feelings. And notice that when they start to feel hard feelings, they're going to get more efficient, because slowing down feels like failure. So this is a constant struggle for 3s. They're still heart types though. They're still looking for connection. So a lot of times, let's do something together. Let's take a walk. Let's hang out. Let's do an adventure together. One 3 told me I couldn't really meditate. I couldn't sit and meditate, but I had one of those big exercise balls, and I would just roll myself back and forth because I was doing something. And 3s, a lot of times, they feel like human doings. So if you're a 3, welcome your feelings, particularly the ones that don't feel shiny. Moderate your pace and notice what happens when you start to feel feelings, and understand that failure is a normal part of being human. You're not a disaster. You're not going to sink into a sinkhole of friendlessness. It's like, welcome to the human race. And notice how you place disproportionate attention on what you assume as winners. And remind yourself that most people are more than their medals, more than their greatest win. And you, on some level, I think you know that, because you've probably started to notice it in yourself. Because if we kind of get to this place, particularly as we age, that, real love is for me as a human being, not for what I accomplish. And for 3s, learn to listen without an agenda. When you're listening to your kids, when you're listening to your colleague, notice how your attention's going to the clock. Notice how your attention's going to efficiency. And just breathe yourself back in. Really slow. Notice how you have that arrow to 6. 6s tend to be really curious, tend to ask a lot of questions. Try that. And notice if you're doing to get it done, and pay attention to that. Be mindful of moving people along. Be mindful of interrupting and finishing other people's sentences. That's the speed thing. Be mindful of sharing all of your accomplishments, because sometimes that has the opposite effect of separating you from people, because people can feel like, well, aren't you all that? And I want to tell you, 3, sometimes we're secretly envious of you because you do get a lot done. I'm sometimes amazed by the projects. 3s can cut corners sometimes in moving so quickly. So that's helpful to pay attention to. To pay attention to sometimes when you get that feedback that, you miss this piece and you miss this piece. Slow it down. Okay, you're not a complete loser and complete failure that you cut a corner, that you missed a piece, but do pay attention to it. So if you're a 3, if you're in a relationship with a 3, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And also remember that real life people are reading this, so be kind. Don't reduce a person to a type. We're so much more than our types. And also, if you had somebody in your life who was a 3 and it was a difficult relationship, that's the relationship with that person. It's not with all 3s. All right. So for the 3, be helpful to practice gratitude. That can slow you down. For a sunny day, your kids smile, some sort of connection at work that just felt kind of sweet and wasn't a super big deal, right? But it's just kind of sweet. So yeah, feel free to comment, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.